How we doing, YouTube? Archman here, and I'm going to talk about the small Sebenza 31, only because I know that it's like beating a dead horse, but the main reason is because it just still seems to be like a lot of posts in different groups and forums that I belong to, a lot of YouTube videos, you know, blah, 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 31, relevant 2021, you know, blah, 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 31 versus whatever, you know. And I just kind of wanted to talk about my findings because the Sebenza 31, small Sebenza 31, for me has just been an unbeatable pocket knife as far as just like what has come along since I bought this thing and what, you know, what has passed through my hands, what has been, I've lost interest in, just because of what this thing is and because of what it's not. So I'm going to flip the camera around. We'll go to the tabletop here in the Nice Guy shop and we'll talk a little bit more about the Sebenza 31. All right, guys. So the 31, this 31, I have 4 Sebenza 31s, has been my, by far, number one EDC in the past. Let's see, I got this towards the middle of November. This guy's birthday is November 11th. Pardon me. And I believe I got this on about November 15th or something like that. It was very, very soon after its quote birth date. And I have purchased a few knives in that time, notably, which I need to do a review on. But it's just, yeah, I got some things to say about this knife, and I'm waiting to put it together, I guess. But talking about the Sebenza 31 here, the small Sebenza 31, plain Jane, double lugs. Man, it's just my favorite knife. I actually had a buddy, more than one, I'm sure, but one that really sticks out who recently bought one of these, who's a Shirogorov, like had been EDCing a Shirogorov for like 5-6 plus years. And he handed me that Shiro and it was like falling apart. The screws were so loose. And it was a custom, when he got his Sebenza, small Sebenza 31, he was like, man, it's so stiff. I you know, it's hurting my thumb. I had to bend the Lockbar out and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, ooh, and this guy is extremely competent. People would 100% know who this person is, but I am not going to mention that. But, and I was just like, oh, that's a bummer, man. I was like, you know what? It's funny is I have 9 Sebenzas right now, and my small Sebenza 31 is my favorite because it's so stiff. Like, I wouldn't say it's so stiff, but it is the stiffest Sebenza I've ever had in every way. Like the hydraulic action is just like has a lot of resistance as far as like just the other 9 Sebenzas that I have, or the other 8. The detent is really, really sturdy, and I just love it. Sorry about the man hands here, by the way. My hands get really dry in the wintertime, so it's just the way it is. But yeah, so I just kind of wanted to take it down just for grins. We'll chit chat about it. We'll reassemble it, see what we think, what we don't think, and all that. So yeah, this knife, I have not sharpened it since I bought it. And like I said, this has been my absolute EDC, no holds barred, just, you know what, like this is my knife and I'm just going to use it for whatever the fuck I want to use it for. And also, I just really, really, really like this knife. So that's why I just am like, I don't care how scuffed up it gets. I don't care what happens to it. You know, what's funny is somebody had mentioned on I think it was the Chris Reeve Knives Facebook group, Just like, shit, man, my knife looks more scratched than that, you know, after 1 week of carry. This thing, I don't know what is going on with it, but it was the darkest stone wash I've ever had on a Sebenza, and it was the deepest stone wash I've ever had on a Sebenza. Like, you can see what my hands look like. I mean, my hands are rough. They are... I work in this shop all day, every day. I've EDC'd it and remodeled kitchens and bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. And I have used the piss out of this knife. Since I bought this knife, I guess notable, like, actual, like, user options that I've carried. Like, I showed you that American Blade Works. I've not really used that. I've used it a little bit, just kind of screwing around with it, but not really used it. But my Small & Cosi has seen some, like, real, you know, use, like a, you know, working man's, you know, EDC use. I carry this Ultratech all the time. It actually just sits here, it lives in my shop. I wouldn't call this a user though necessarily. I'm still kind of, I just don't want to have to sharpen that Tonto, but just kind of the way that it is. But yeah, I think I've taken this thing apart one time just to take it apart and put it back together and see, like, does it stay as stiff as it is? Like, is it improperly, I mean, it doesn't bother me. Like I said, I like it the best. I mean, wow, I can't even pull this out. So super, super, super stiff. Again, I like that. That's what I want. And in my knife, I like that it offers a little bit more security. I like that it kind of helps keep the blade closed better because it's so stiff. Also, actually, my which I've done a video on, my large Rhino 31 is identically stiff. When I think I talked about this in that video, but when I went to go buy, I knew I went to that shop. I was like, I'm gonna go buy 2 Sebenza 31s when I went to that shop. So I knew that's what I was going to do, but I planned on buying planes because I like the planes. I can't even tell you. I think I have 4 plain Sebenzas. I think. I might be wrong. But yeah, you can see, like, the usual super gunky buildup in there. And I just don't take, I'm only doing this for this video. I had no plans to disassemble this knife or anything like that. I'm going to real quick just walk over to my sink and grab a paper towel, but since I'm wearing a wireless microphone, you can still hear me just fine. I'm actually going to grab some WD-40 because I tell you right now, guys, I don't give a rat's ass what I use for lubrication, and you shouldn't either. I'll use anything. Like, honestly, as long as it's something that's not going to readily evaporate or something that's not going to gum up too bad. I know WD-40 is not the world's best for lubrication, but I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't need my knife to be, like, fall shutty or any of this crap, you know. All I want is, you can see there's a little bit of super glue on there from gluing this guy down. I glue this pin down for I keep the pin for the sole purpose of giving the handle a little bit of extra rigidity. If you were to, like, you know, squeeze them together, this will kind of help stop that. So if for whatever it might happen to it, if it was to accidentally get stepped on or run over by a car or who knows what, that's why I keep it in there. But I don't like the way it looks. Like, I really, really don't like the way this thing looks, especially with that hole in it. I just don't like it. So I rotate it in a way that the hole is least visible just for my uses. I guess I'll go ahead and pop this thing out and clean it. But yeah, I can already see the comments on this video. Bro, you could have done that in 5 minutes. You know, I don't really fucking care. Go watch 5-minute videos if you think that that's what you want. And definitely eat a dick while you're at it. People who post negative comments are fucking assholes. That's all there is to it. Just, yeah. I grew up with the kind of like, if you don't have something nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Silence is deadly, you know, honestly. Like, that's how it always was for me. Like, in my house, like, you know, if my parents were quiet, I was like, ah, fuck, man, I'm in trouble, you know. And then it would be, you know, then the shit storm would hit. I grew up with my father and my stepmom, and so it was I didn't have the best relationship with my stepmom. Also, I was a fucking son of a bitch too, which just is the way it is. You know, I was a fucking skater punk. Surprise, surprise. So that's good. My little dab of super glue is still holding that nice and rigid in there, which is wonderful. Let's assemble this bad boy. So I used to be really careful and like always put the same pins in the same place they came out of, and always that kind of thing. Now I just don't give a rat's ass at all. Obviously with the two different size screws, you have to do some of that. But, oh, what am I doing here? This guy. But, yeah, not a lot. I personally, a lot of people are, you know, talk about the blue, not liking the blue, or not liking the, I'll do this one first. Not liking the way the blue wears, or not liking the blue from the get-go, because it's such a stark blue. It's just blue. I come from a completely different place, because I bought my first Sebenza in 2001. I think maybe 2000. I think it was 2001. And that was back when like blue anodized titanium was like, holy shit, that's cool, man. Gotta be titanium or whatever, you know. So it's kind of like it was just like a neat thing to see. So I kind of, even though I firmly believe that for the most part, nostalgia is toxic. That's probably why I like it so much. But I love the blue, and I love the way the blue wears in. I like everything about it. I'm just kind of looking at my washer here a little bit. I thought I saw like a bend in it, but it's just kind of a shinier spot. So it's no secret to you guys, but the holes in the Chris Reeve Knives washers are gayer than 3 dudes sucking off 3 other dudes with 3 other dudes filming while they're masturbating. They are fucking stupid. I mean, it doesn't take any kind of fucking rocket surgeon to fucking feel this goddamn washer and go, oh, it's super fucking rough. So it's fucking stupid in every single way. And I hate to like be such a dickwad about it, but like, I just can't believe that this is still a thing. Like, I can't fucking wrap my mind around it. Because there's, god damn, it's dumb. But you know what? It's less dumb than bearings. Bearings are more dumb. But I mean, Chris Reeve Knives, I know that they did it so I'm just going to spray just a little bit of WD-40 in here. I know that they did it to seem like they're offering something. Because they did it when, you know, the bearing crisis, whatever you want to call it, kind of first started. And God, what a huge mistake. It's just, not that it fucking matters. It's not the end of the world. It still is my favorite knife. But Jesus Christ, like I've said before, you know, there's a difference between cutting corners and fucking adding unnecessary facets, you know. So it like, and that's just what this is. That's what the holes in the washers is. It's adding completely unnecessary, and as a matter of fact, like detrimental in some ways. So I'm just kind of not doing this on film. So it's always best to do it this way. I don't remember who kind of like pioneered this method, but you know, this is the only way to reassemble or even disassemble a Sebenza. Like I think I said at the beginning of this video, like I don't normally disassemble my Sebenzas or any of my knives. And but if you say, like, for whatever reason you got dunked this knife in salt water, that's a good example. I don't know. I really kind of don't give a shit. I don't know that I would take it apart, but like 5 years ago, I would take it apart if I was to get it in salt water, and I would just take the blade out. I would not disassemble the handle. You can completely get to that stop pin and clean it off in 365 degrees, as much as you need to. Get in there and de-gunk the stop pin. I mean, you can do it with without taking the blade out as well. I'll just show you real quick how I do it. This is how I lubricate. This is what I'm about to show you guys. This is how I lubricate a Sebenza, and it's also how I clean a Sebenza. So here's what I do. I take a piece of paper, whatever it is. I usually just grab something. I'm at my little workstation here, so I got Post-it notes, so I just grabbed one. Usually I'll grab something out of the recycling. So what I do is I will run a piece of paper under or in between the scales and the blade, like up against the washer, and clean out any gunk that's in there. So this piece of paper is thin, so I'm like, we could do better than that. So usually I will look for some cardboard. It's even better if you tear it and a piece of cardboard and it's kind of frazzled. It gets in there like a toothbrush with those hairs. So this is much better. 2 layers. It's a little more snug. I can really get in there and kind of clean the gunk out. In this circumstance, it's good too, because I can get in there and absorb some of this WD-40 with it, which will help it gather less lint and gunk and stuff. So I will get in here and do the same thing on this side with it all closed. And then in like, you know, if you carry your knife for a couple months every day, you know, you're going to get all kinds of black shit and gunk and whatnot out of there. Like you can see, even this looks a little dirty, even though we just cleaned the shit out of the knife. Mostly just darkened because it's absorbed the WD. And then for like to get in here, what I normally will do is make like a point out of a piece of paper, like something like this, and then I'll get in here and I will clean out the gunk like that. Sometimes I'll just, you know, it just depends. Like if I'm out and about camping or something like that, then I'll shave down a little stick and I'll get in there and clean this all out. So I'll come in there and get it from every single angle. You know, I'll get in here like this, clean that lint off, just like that, and no big deal. Same with the stop pin. We all know the the ball detent will get all gunky too. Same thing. I'll kind of do like a loose fold like this, and I'll run that in here and clean off that ball. You can get in here like this. A lot of times I'll get in and clean the blade like so. Get in there and clean the ball off. And if I'm looking in there and I can still see that it's all gunky and kind of gross along the track or whatever, for whatever reason, I'll take a piece of paper and fold it kind of tighter like this, stick it in there, and hold it against the blade while I scrape off whatever it is, and then kind of do something like that. That's how I usually will clean my knife, and then otherwise I just wash it under the sink, in the sink with soap and water and a toothbrush. I mean, I just wash it like I'm washing my hands. Best case scenario, I'll blow it off with like a dryer or something like that. So no big deal there. Last thing I'll show you guys is how I usually lubricate my knives, and that is very simple. Less is always more with lubrication. So in this case, I'm using WD, which is, we all know, is not the best lubrication, but at the same time, it 100% works. So I will get, this is way more than I would normally use, but usually I'll put like 1 drop. Like this is way 10 times more than I would normally use. Usually I will put like 1 drop, but it just kind of shot out of the can. And what I'll do is, if you kind of, the big washer's a little bit easier because you can kind of see that, like the exposed holes. So what I usually will do is, and I also have the, and again, people are like, that's not much lube. It doesn't take much lube. Like, it really doesn't. You do not need to fill in these fucking grease pockets. That is a bullshit gimmick. I really wish CRK would knock it off with the bullshit. And then I'll get in here and make sure the ball has a little bit of lubrication on it, and then that's it, you know. This is, again, that's over lubricating. I use too much, like, so that's bad because it will just get gunky. Some of you guys that like all you do is work at a desk and you know, go home to your perfectly clean house and you never wear clothes twice between washings and all that kind of stuff. You probably gather less lint than I do, but my shit gets pretty linty, pretty banged up. So yeah, that's really it. I just kind of wanted to kind of go over a little overview of the knife and just how much I like it, why I like it. I'm gonna tell you what, man, it's slick as snot now. That was kind of a needed cleaning, I think. Didn't need to take it apart, obviously, but that's kind of a needed cleaning. Talked a little bit about the S35VN real quick. S35VN is the best steel ever made, period. Bye, guys. Just kidding. No, it's not. S35VN is my favorite steel. It holds an edge like a motherfucker, as far as like just a working edge. Like I said, I have not sharpened this knife, and I use it every single day. Part of the reason that I haven't sharpened it is because I want to see just like how far I can push it before it's just like damn near worthless. And I tell you what, man, every single day I'm like, today's the day I'll be sharpening this knife. And you know, you see all those dents and dings in the blade, but when I feel it with my thumb, it feels sharp. Like, so I mean, people that are like, I just can't believe they don't use M390. Go watch a Nick Sabash video. All right, guys. Palabra a tu madre. Have a good day.